Hello guys, all right, and welcome again to the next episode, the next video that we're gonna be making in the channel. All right, as always, thank you all for watching, for standing by. But nonetheless, all right, I've been actually reading books. Okay, I've been actually reading books, and also I've been actually drinking a little Saratoga water. All right, because I'm about doing nothing and accomplishing nothing, and what better way to go ahead and start by just drinking Saratoga water. I'm trying to make my life as much as close as possible as that guy called Ashton Hall. Now, to the nitty-gritty of this video, which is Sirens. Now, where do we start? Okay, where do we start when it comes to mermaids? Okay, with Sirens, we have to sort of like explore where the sirens came from. Like, where they came from? Who invented that idea? The sirens first appeared, okay, in the Homer's Greek Odyssey, all right, around 750 BCE. All right, so like at first the sirens were actually depicted by the Greeks, all right, and the Romans has some sort of like fearsome creature. They were fearsome, and at the same time they were cunning and beautiful. All right, that's don't tell. I don't know what to tell you. They were the ones who actually started talking about fish-like creatures with big boobs. All right, the Greeks, and then Romans, and then, you know, it just expanded all over the world. And then, like, you go forward in time, and these mysterious beings are actually, you know, prominently mentioned in around the 10th century by a Byzantine Greek lexicographer. Okay, and at the same time, sort of like to give you an idea of what was going on in the world on the 10th century, empires were rising, and at the same time empires were falling apart. For example, in the Americas at that time, the Americas suffered the collapse of the great Mayan Empire. All right, the great Maya civilization was actually on collapse. In Europe, Vikings raids, like the Vikings started raiding little, you know, bold people in the islands, stealing their gold. And then if you, for example, go on China, the Song dynasty was established. And at the same time, while all this was going on, right, the beginning of the medieval, I didn't know this, by the way, the medieval warm period started. Okay, after the 10th century, sirens were used in art, specifically in like the Middle Ages throughout Europe from here on. Now, fast forward to present day, and this is where the myth of sirens and mermaids gets super duper interesting, with no evidence of their existence as actual real creatures. Now, there is strong arguments against this, all right, just because we know how much we don't know about the ocean. Yeah, so just to put it into context, the ocean is vast, okay? And when I say about vast, the ocean it's like 70% or something of the Earth, you know, in general. We only know about sort of like 5% of the ocean. There's at least, what is it, like 80% that remains just unknown to us, meaning that we probably know more about space at this point than the ocean itself, because our technology is just so shitty that we just cannot do that. Now, that 5% that we know, out of that 5%, just so you know, there's a percentage that's actually based on a speculation. Yeah, there's out of that 5%, there's a, I don't remember which percentage it is, that we actually never went to where we say it is, or whatever the ocean looks like. We did what's called a satellite, what you call that, the satellite gravity and algorithms, and it is measured indirectly, so meaning that the humans themselves haven't physically traveled to those locations to map out the area. All right, so like out of that 5%, you know, at least 2%, it's just not really accurate. The rest is like 3% that we actually know for a fact that it looks the way it is, you know, without having any assumptions. Now, also something mega interesting about the ocean, all right, if you didn't know this, is that the ocean itself, if you think that you're safe from black holes, no. There's actually black holes in the ocean, all right, and they're called eddies or something like ocean eddies, okay. And basically, the way they determine that they're actually black holes and stuff like that is because mathematically, it has the same what you call that? It just acts and behaves the same as a black hole in space, which is whatever is in the vortex or whatnot. It just disappears. It just disappears. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, there is probably more chance that aliens are coming from under the water than they're just coming from space. Yeah. Like that theory, as of now, with all the alien stuff that's been going on, is actually gaining more power. Just because of how vast and how unknown the ocean itself is to us. All right? To where there could be actually multiple different civilizations living under deep water for generations, and we just don't know about it. Isn't that crazy? So now, with that being said, okay, the reason why I'm making this video is because apparently, you know, there's like deity parties, right? There's like Bohemian Grove parties, but apparently, according to TikTok, all right, there's mermaids buffets. Yeah, there's actually people out there, you know, having a feast on mermaids nowadays. All right, I could make this up even if I wanted to. My TikTok page, excuse me, has been recently been bombarded. I've actually been getting a lot of mermaid videos because I actually glanced over a mermaid type related video for like 0.1 second, and the algorithm decided to just go ahead and just like bombard me with like mermaid stuff, so I had to go ahead and sort of like research the topic. All right, and guess what I started looking into it, all right, a little closer, and has a cotton candy hits water and just disappears in a matter of seconds. The truth disappeared before my eyes. There's a channel, there's a woman that actually received a controversial and very detailed email on these parties, like on these like 1%ers eating you know, having a feast on mermaids, and her name is Tiff Ghost Talks, okay. And right off the bat, when I go ahead and took a look at her sort of like her page and her overall content, it actually revolved around a lot of mysteries, okay. She covers from, you know, mermaids all the way down to like floating ghosts. She covers like duendes, you know, like little dwarves that steal your socks all around the house, stuff like that. So like her content has a whole face value, all right, without analyzing it too much, consists of entertainment. But nonetheless, there's a video that she went, you know, extremely viral from, which is a video that she sort of like gets an email from a guy, right? And then this guy tells her sort of like, you know, how he got into the mermaid small winter club, and he started eating, you know, that delicacy supposedly. So without further ado, what better way to sort of like show you guys what I mean by actually showing you the goddamn video, right? The goddamn woman talking about what she received on an email or on her Gmail, right? So let's go ahead and watch this video, okay guys? And basically, we're gonna watch it right now.
The lead are eating mermaids, and I know what they taste like. You've probably seen the viral mermaid eating videos, but have you seen mine? Because mine's the original one. For some reason, it's not on the For You page, but I did get another email from someone that went to the party. They actually paid to go to the party, and they told me what they taste like. Let's read that email, shall we? We're gonna call him Jonah because I think that's funny. As in Jonah and the whale, you know, and all of that. Jonah said, I had spent my life chasing the rare, the forbidden, the experiences that others whispered about but never dared to pursue. I had sipped snake venom-infused whiskey in Japan, dined on endangered delicacies in hidden European supper clubs, and even paid an absurd amount to eat a meal cooked on lava in Iceland. When he heard about the mermaid parties, he was down to go, and he said that he paid $50,000 for his ticket. He wasn't told about the location until the day of the party, that a black limo came and picked him up, took him to the party. He said the host was in a white suit wearing a mask, like a masquerade mask, and said, welcome. Tonight you will partake in a dish once served for the kings of lost civilizations, a delicacy that vanished from history until now. Now here's what he said it looked like. Their torsos were eerily human, slender arms, delicate collarbones, pale faces, frozen in serene stillness. But from the waist down, their bodies shimmered with blue-green scales ending in powerful tails. Below their ribs had been with precision revealing rich marbled meat beneath. A server placed a dish in front of Jonas, thinly sliced filet, lightly seared, resting in a golden broth infused with herbs he didn't recognize. The aroma was intoxicating, sweet, briny, complex. The flavor was exquisite. It was unlike anything he had ever known, sweet like scallops, rich like Wagyu beef, with a depth of umami that seemed to awaken something deep in his senses. It was as if he were tasting the ocean itself, not just its bounty, but its soul. That's his words, not mine. He then said, a warmth spread through my body, my heartbeat slowed, my breath deepened. Around me, the other guests had closed their eyes, their faces soft with pleasure. A sound, and then he describes it as no, not a sound, but a feeling, a low, resonant hum, a vibration in my bones, in my blood. That his mind was filled with visions of deep blue waters, endless and calm, filled with whispers, not words, but emotions, memories, as if the sea itself had opened to him, revealing its secrets. He felt it, the pull, the connection. They were all enjoying it. The host raised a glass and said, to those who dine beyond the edge of the world. Said 10 out of 10 would recommend, and he would do it again.
All right, so I had to put this amount of protection for my brain not to like explode with all this this info. Okay, I just don't want that stuff to get to me, so I had to use all this extra layer of protection for the bullshit not to hit me hard. Okay, now it's pretty funny because at first Jonah, right, he seemed to be paying a lot of money. There's many ways to achieve these without paying $50,000, and one of the main ways is by eating your own shit. Yeah, you want something rarer than that, and also you can go ahead and eat ass. You don't have to pay $50,000 to just enjoy some succulent meal. Anyways, nonetheless, he keeps going. All right, he keeps going, and ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're working here. This is what we're working with. It's just a piece of email, okay, that this lady got allegedly from Jonah. All right, she named him Jonah, okay. And to me, honestly, this looks like a bunch of baloney, just because they could have been easily written by a Discord mod in someone else's basement, okay. It's just a nothing burger. At first, it is super interesting and entertaining to sort of like hear the story of how everything went down. But the dude paid $50,000, okay? And he's actually describing the meat looking like Wagyu beef or something, and herbs that he just didn't know. For all we know, the guy was presented with an oversized tuna, and he just thought that it was a siren for some reason. My brother just got bamboozled here. Now, here's the story. Here's where the story gets extremely interesting, and here's where it caught my attention. The meat has magical third eye opening potentials, okay? My boy became Doctor Strange for 0.1 seconds. Not only that, he said that he felt no flavor but a vibrator of his ass, just getting a vibration of his booty. And also he said that he felt some wetness in his body. That means that he probably beat himself, period. And after that, he was filled with visions, okay? And not just any visions, okay? My boat was actually flying through not the sky, but through the deep waters, okay? He had visions and, you know, like this sense of opening of the oceans themselves. He became probably Aquaman at this point. Talking about a shamanistic ritual, my boy was probably on ayahuasca, gooning and edging when he was sending this email, traveling to space and time while writing about mermaids, okay? And then he just sent it out to this girl, and then this girl just like puts it out in the open. And what makes this more funnier than ever is that at the end, he doesn't just stop there. He doesn't just say, okay, this was my experience. He actually gives you a Yelp review. Like he's just said that it is a 10 out of 10 dish, and he would just do it again. Like, I'm talking about my boys trying to go ahead and just drop 100K on a succulent meal. Okay, this to me is just so funny that he's just decided at the end to go ahead and just put the little sprinkle on the top, and then, you know, he's a natural reviewer. You know, he just said, hey, listen, I will recommend it 100%. To who are you recommending this to? Huh, Jonah? To who are you recommending that, you know, like what, $50,000? Are you serious? Are you serious, Jonah? Who are you recommending this to? Like, certainly not the guy that you send the email to. I don't think they can have that kind of money to begin with. Anyways, this is not only the account of modern siren stuff that's been sort of like roaming around the internet, like mermaid activities or whatnot. There's allegedly real videos of these 1%ers eating mermaids. Okay, it's a real thing supposedly, and the videos are out there, but the more I looked into it, I just couldn't find anything. Everything was actually 100% AI, and nothing was actually, you know, right on. You know, aside from those videos, there's actually accounts of like famous people sort of like having this inclination or obsession over mermaids. For example, in Mexico, there's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, comedians of all time. All right, he was obsessed with mermaids, and he actually got to build a house specifically to go ahead and sort of like see these wonderful creatures. And what's crazy about this one in particular is that there's a whole lot more people involved in it. Like, you know, you had to get an architect to sort of like build a house, acclimate it for sirens to like go in the house. You know, that's why the mansion was actually built like literally next to the water, and there's like waterways that lead inside the house and whatnot. There's accounts of him having to do a statue of himself in the port, to where like he would have a statue there. That was one of the requirements for the sirens to show up to him, right? He had to have this carved out statue looking on the horizon, looking at the goddamn you know, like at the ocean, for the sirens to go like, all right, so yeah, we just got to show up to that guy wants to see us. Aside from that, while the house as of now it's just being 100% abandoned, there's no accounts of workers there seeing anything really. Like, you know, Jose trimming the lawn, you know, doing the lawn service, didn't see a siren. Maria preparing the most awesome and delicious tacos of all time for this guy, didn't see any sightings. And not even the comedian himself, all right? His name is Cantinflas. He's the biggest comedians of all time when it comes to Mexico and stuff. Like, he did not write anything down that he saw one, like on his eye. Like, there's no account. There's no real account of no one saying anything. Everything seems to be another nothing burger. Also, of course, you know, deal, like there's a lot of sightings, there's a lot of tales like back in the 1400s, you know, with the pirates and stuff about sirens, but again, there's just nothing there. It's they said nothing burger, to say the least. Like the moment you start to go ahead and look into this thing, the more it just goes away, and at the end of the day, you're left with a bowl of cereal that there's no cereal inside, there's no milk, there's nothing. There's just a bowl made out of the internet and out of these tales, but there's no substance in the bowl. And that's just what I found. As much as we want this thing to be real, okay, and as much as I want this to be true, there isn't enough evidence from which angle you look at it. When it comes to actual evidence, there's just none. It's just not there, guys, okay? As much as we want that to be true, it just isn't. All right, this is like, you know, this is as authentic as my mom telling me that the $20 I just found on the street, she was going to go ahead and keep it in case I needed it for later. It's just an empty promise. It's just fugazi. All right, it is nada. It is a nothing. That's about it, boys. I mean, it's super entertaining to talk about these things, just because of how mysterious the ocean is and how little do we know. So because of that, there's a lot of room there to go ahead and sort of like speculate and lean towards like, yeah, it could be possible, but there's just not actual evidence. I'm just sorry to go ahead and break it to you, but just there isn't. So that's it, guys. That's it for me for today, for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. It was fun researching this topic. Remember, it's just a bad day, not a bad life. And with that being said, guys, Rodri is out. Okay, see ya until the next one.